And just like that, the city held its breath. By the time we reach this ending, the streets feel like pages that remember every footstep. Carrie walks them slower now, not because she is tired, but because she is listening. She has learned that love is not a finish line. It is the echo after the music fades, the quiet that asks what comes next. She tried to keep the old song playing, old habits, old choices, old fears, but season 3 kept changing the tune. A text unanswered, a door knocked twice. A dinner that should have been simple and wasn't. She keeps telling herself she is fine, that she is always fine, but the night before the finale she sets her phone face down and lets the silence be honest. She is not afraid of endings anymore. She is afraid of almosts. Miranda has been wrestling with the person she was and the person she is still becoming. The courtroom voice that once won every argument learned to ask smaller, braver questions. What if I choose joy even when it looks messy? What if I let go of the story I wrote for myself at 25? Work pushed, love pulled, and somehow she stayed in the middle, trying to stand still on a moving sidewalk. She made mistakes that tasted like truth. She said the right thing at the wrong time. She watched someone she cared for choose a path that did not include her, and she did not shatter. She took the shards and made something new. The finale presses a gentle palm to her back and says, "Forward, Charlotte," who once believed control was safety, met a season that refused to color inside the lines. Children grew in ways that did not match any handbook. Marriage stretched and snapped back like a ribbon that had learned to breathe. She counted place settings for a dinner that meant more than food, and in the middle of the laughter she felt a tremor of fear. If they need me less, who am I? Then she looked around the table and saw it. The woman she has become is not a role. She is a whole person with wants that are not apologies. She still loves a polished moment, yes, but she has learned to let the candle wax drip. In this last chapter, she will say what she needs out loud, and the room will make space. New York has always been the fourth friend, and this season it showed up like an old flame who learned better manners. Rain on a brownstone step became a mirror, a crosswalk became a choice. In cafes, strangers told the truth without knowing they were doing it. The city said, "I won't slow down for you, but I will walk beside you if you can keep up." And they did, even on days when their shoes were wrong. They found new corners to stand on, new benches to sit on, and every time a taxi splashed their hem, it felt less like an insult and more like a baptism, together. The women tried to forgive the versions of themselves that were necessary once, but not anymore. They made deals with fate and broke them. They laughed in hospital hallways and cried in bright bathrooms. The gifts they gave each other were not things, they were pauses. A minute to breathe before calling back. A night to think before moving, and a morning to admit it hurts. Every pause pulled them toward a choice, and every choice carried a cost. The finale does not erase those costs. It counts them, then asks if the bill is worth the life they want. There were near misses and almost confessions. A letter saved in drafts, a ring placed back in a drawer. A train taken uptown when downtown might have been easier. They stood at windows and wondered whether love is a door you walk through or a room you rearrange until it fits. They learned that friendship is the one lease in this city that never goes month to month. When one of them faltered, the others held the line, not with speeches but with presence, a hand on a wrist, a coat slipped over shoulders, a shared cab at midnight. The last evening arrives. The air is the kind that makes even strong hearts tender. Carrie chooses a dress that tells the truth more than it flatters. Miranda drafts a message, deletes it, and then writes a shorter one that says more. Charlotte lights 3 candles and lets them burn down unevenly. The soundtrack is not a violin. Swell. It is the hum of a refrigerator, the clink of a spoon, the city outside like an ocean. They are not chasing perfection anymore. They are choosing a life that fits like a well-worn heel, a little scuffed, still elegant, surprisingly steady, and just like that, we are here at the edge where every path bends. Not for a lesson, not for a lecture, for a decision, for a goodbye that might also be a beginning, for a season that dared them to change and a finale that will ask them to prove it, asterisk, and just like that, the questions we tried to bury began to rise. Carrie had always believed she could outright her doubts, that she could turn every mistake into a witty column or a charming anecdote told over martinis. But Season 3 reminded her that not every story has a punchline. Some just sit there, heavy, waiting to be faced. In the final stretch before episode 13, she is balancing on the thin line between the love she thought she deserved and the love that might still be possible. A late-night phone call changed the rhythm of her week, and now she cannot stop hearing the echo. She has lived through enough endings to know that closure is not always an invitation to stay, but it can be the courage to walk away. Her eyes linger too long on the skyline because she knows the view is about to change. Miranda is learning that reinvention is not a single leap, it is a staircase with missing steps. She has stumbled more than once in front of people she wished had not been watching. She has asked for forgiveness, and sometimes she has given it to herself. But the real battle is quieter, standing in front of the mirror, deciding whether the woman looking back has earned her own respect. She thought moving forward meant leaving everything behind, but the truth keeps knocking. Her past is not a chain, it is a foundation. The real question is, will she build something taller, or will she keep tearing it down out of fear that it might collapse? Episode 12 left her holding an unanswered question, one that burns hotter the closer we get to the finale. Charlotte's storyline has always been about perfection, about the glossy surface that hides the messy truth. Yet in Season 3, perfection began to slip through her fingers like water. Her children tested boundaries she never saw coming, her marriage required more honesty than she was ready to give, and her friendships reminded her that being needed is not the same as being loved. In these final moments leading to episode 13, Charlotte stands on a threshold. Will she embrace the chaos and let it define her, or will she try one more time to polish the cracks until they disappear? The irony is that the more she tries to hold on, the clearer it becomes that her freedom lies in letting go. And then there is the city, that silent witness weaving all their stories together. New York has never been gentle, but in Season 3 it has been unflinching in its lessons. It showed Carrie that memory lives in every corner cafe. It showed Miranda that ambition without joy is only noise. It showed Charlotte that home is not made of spotless furniture, but of voices filling the room. The city is not a backdrop, it is a truth-teller. Every streetlight is a reminder that time does not wait, every subway delay a reminder that control is an illusion. By the time we step into the finale, the city has already whispered the ending. The women just need to listen. The build-up to episode 13 is not about answers. It is about weight. The weight of choices not yet made. The weight of relationships stretched thin but not broken. The weight of moments that could tip everything in one direction or another. Each of them stands at a crossroads, but the roads are not marked. Carrie wonders if she should leap or hold her ground. Miranda wonders if she can forgive herself for not being perfect. Charlotte wonders if her worth exists without someone else's approval. These are not small questions, and the finale does not promise to solve them neatly. It promises something deeper, the chance to choose, and just like that, the tension grows. A letter waits to be opened, a secret waits to be spoken. A dinner table waits for a confession. The beauty of this build-up is not in what is revealed, but in what could be. Every pause, every hesitation, every unfinished sentence is a thread pulling the story tighter. We know the finale will not only untangle those threads, it will weave them into something none of us expected. The storm has not yet broken, but the air is thick with it. Carrie feels it in her chest when she scrolls through old messages. Miranda feels it in her bones when she passes by a door she used to walk through every day. Charlotte feels it in her silence when she chooses not to argue. The city feels it too, the lights brighter, the nights louder, the shadows longer. Something is coming. Not just an ending, but a turning. The kind of moment where nothing after will look like what came before. And just like that, the finale waits. Not patient, not kind, but inevitable. A truth that cannot be delayed. A question that will not stay quiet. It is not the end of their story. It is the proof that every ending is only a reminder. The next beginning has already arrived. Asterisk, and Just like that, the storm we sensed finally begins to form. Episode 12 left behind more than unanswered questions. It left the characters trembling in the wake of choices they tried to avoid. The finale is not just waiting for them, it is rushing toward them like a train that cannot be slowed. At the heart of this buildup are three women standing in three different corners of the same room, each trying to pretend the air isn't too heavy to breathe. Carrie's story is hanging by a thread woven out of memory and longing. She has spent this season circling the same question without saying it aloud. Is love supposed to feel like safety, or is it supposed to feel like risk? Episode 12 closed with her standing on a threshold, holding a message she could send. A call she could make, a door she could knock on, and yet she froze. Because the moment she acts, the fantasy dies and reality begins. In the quiet leading into the finale, she replays moments like broken film reels, the dinners where laughter masked regret, the mornings where silence said more than words. She knows episode 13 will not let her stay still. A choice is coming, and it will either shatter her or set her free. Miranda, on the other hand, is tangled in the consequences of her reinvention. She has chased new beginnings all season, but now she is forced to face what those choices cost. A friendship left bruised. A romance that burned hot but left ashes she can't sweep away. A career that demands loyalty while her heart demands honesty. She has built a life that looks bold from the outside, but inside, cracks are spreading. In the finale, those cracks are no longer hidden, they are spotlighted. She will stand in front of someone she once thought she understood and realize that nothing, not even her own reflection, is simple anymore. Episode 13 promises Miranda. A moment of truth so raw it will either undo her or transform her. Charlotte's build-up to the finale is quieter, but no less fierce. While Carrie and Miranda wrestle with choices that feel like storms, Charlotte is facing the earthquake that comes when the ground beneath you shifts. For so long, her identity has been tied to being needed by her children, her husband, her friends. But now, as those roles bend and stretch, she is left staring at the woman in the mirror who asks, "What do you need, Charlotte?" In episode 12, she began to whisper an answer. In episode 13, she will be forced to scream it. For Charlotte, the finale is not about losing control. It is about deciding what she will no longer surrender in the name of control. And then there is the unspoken tension threads that weave between all three women, pulling tighter with every scene. A shared dinner that ends not in laughter, but in silence. A phone that rings and goes unanswered. A look across a crowded room that says everything but offers no solutions. These are the final brushstrokes of a season that has painted their lives with both joy and jagged edges. Episode 13 will not erase those strokes, it will frame them, showing us the whole picture for the first time. The city itself seems to know what is coming. New York has always mirrored their inner lives, but in the hours before the finale, it becomes almost prophetic. The streets are too loud, the sky's too dark, the lights too bright. Every cab ride feels like a crossroads, every coffee shop feels like a stage. Carrie walks past a bookstore and wonders if she is just another character in someone else's chapter. Miranda sits on a park bench and feels the weight of every choice pressing down like the skyline above her. Charlotte lights a candle and realizes she is not afraid of the dark. She is afraid of being seen clearly in the light. The brilliance of this build-up lies not in big gestures but in small fractures. Carrie hesitating before pressing send. Miranda pausing at a doorway as if stepping inside will alter the rest of her life. Charlotte holding a wine glass too tightly, as if letting go will mean admitting something she has kept hidden. These moments are not filler, they are warnings. By the time episode 13 begins, the audience knows something irreversible is about to happen, and just like that, the women are no longer who they were at the start of this season. The finale is not asking whether they will change, it is demanding to know how much. Every glance, every silence, every unfinished sentence is a fuse waiting to be lit. When the spark finally comes, there will be no going back. The build-up is complete. The storm is here. And in episode 13, Everything they thought was certain will be tested one last time, asterisk, and just like that, the curtain begins to lift on the final act. The finale does not arrive quietly. It comes like a knock at midnight, expected, but still startling. Episode 13 is not about tying bows or cleaning messes. It is about standing in the wreckage and asking, what do I want to carry forward? What can I finally set down? Every character, every thread, every heartbeat of Season 3 converges in this moment. The preview of what lies ahead is not a list of answers, but a series of collisions. Carrie is the center of gravity. For 3 seasons, she has drifted between nostalgia and possibility, searching for the place where memory and future can coexist. In the finale, she must step off the ledge of almost and fall into something real. Will she open the door to a love that has always been waiting on the other side, or will she finally walk alone, not lonely, but complete? The city seems to hold its breath as she considers it. We imagine her in that final episode, standing by a window, bathed in the glow of neon lights, deciding whether to reach for the phone or leave it on the table. The preview hints that whichever choice she makes, it will not be small. It will be the choice that defines her next chapter, and perhaps closes the one we thought was endless. Miranda's journey reaches a sharper edge. She has fought, clawed, and stumbled through reinvention, and the finale asks her the hardest question yet. Do you still recognize yourself in the mirror? Episode 12 left her in limbo, unfinished conversations, unresolved guilt, and the weight of an identity that no longer fits neatly in a single box. In the preview, we glimpse her in moments of raw honesty, a confrontation she cannot escape, a truth she can no longer avoid, and a silence she must finally break. Miranda has always been the pragmatic one, the voice of reason, the lawyer who dissected problems until they surrendered. But in this finale, her logic fails her. Only her heart can speak, and what it says may burn bridges she thought would last forever. Charlotte, ever the perfectionist, stands at a different kind of threshold. For so long she has clung to the idea that harmony means control, that order can protect her from disappointment. But the finale whispers another lesson. Sometimes the mess is the beauty. We see her in the preview, surrounded by her family, by friends, by the fragments of the life she has polished for years. Yet the camera lingers not on the perfection, but on the cracks on Charlotte's face as she realizes that her worth is not measured in flawless dinners or tidy narratives. The finale teases a moment of unexpected bravery, Charlotte stepping outside the role she built for herself, choosing to be seen not as the mother, the wife, the hostess, but simply as Charlotte, and threading through all of them is the city itself. In the finale preview, New York hums like a restless character, refusing to stay in the background. A bridge lit against the night sky, a cab racing through rain-soaked streets, a quiet corner bar where everything changes with a single conversation. The city insists on reminding them and us that time does not pause. The lights stay on, the trains keep moving, the world does not wait for decisions. The finale promises to frame each choice against this backdrop, making every moment feel both intimate and infinite. What makes this preview so unique is not the drama of what is shown, but the tension of what is withheld. A shadow on Carrie's face that suggests heartbreak or relief. Miranda's trembling hand as she prepares to knock on a door. Charlotte's laughter that sounds too much like a goodbye. These glimpses are not spoilers. They are questions, crafted to haunt us until the final credits roll. The themes sharpen here, endings that refuse to stay neat, beginnings disguised as farewells, friendships tested by silence and saved by love. Episode 13 is not promising us a fairy tale. It is promising something far more daring: honesty. The finale preview tells us this will be a story about women who no longer need to be perfect, about choices that cannot please everyone, about love that sometimes hurts because it is real. And just like that, the preview closes with the simplest, most powerful promise of all: whatever happens, nothing will ever be the same. The finale does not give us certainty. It gives us anticipation, trembling, and the aching thrill of knowing that when the screen fades to black, These characters will not simply end, they will evolve.